All right. Max, we good?
Yep, I see it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, so we're going to quick do a review on the 21-22 advisor follow-up collection. So briefly, this collection last year, we did adjust the due dates. So as Max mentioned earlier, this collection really didn't have an official open date, but it did open on July 1st because that was the end of the 21-22 school year. And so that's the start of the new school year, but this is when the follow-up collection opens for districts to make amendments to their advisor data. So we have an upcoming due date here of the 15th, and excuse me, that is, as Max also addressed, we've got various student information systems at various levels of syncing and publishing data. So that deadline is really just kind of to make sure that you're aware, follow-up collections going, but really you have until that auto window closes on midnight of October 2nd to make updates to this collection data. And that's because you're going to use that October 1st membership count date in order to make adjustments to your information in an advisor. So the data that's collected in the advisor follow-up collection includes student and teacher course section updates. So this would be things that changed since you reported everything in the year-end collection. This could be adjustments to your calendars to reflect various instructional units. It could be adjustments to your courses to make an adjustment in some of your Perkins data. Other examples include year-end enrollment updates. So we use this collection for you to report summer graduates, kiddos who are transferring out over the summer. You may not have known that they were going to move at the end of the last school year. So now you're going to report them as transfer out. Another example is our special education data. So again, those kiddos who may have transferred over the summer, or maybe even those who have exited SPED, and you didn't know that when you reported your year-end data. So you're going to make those updates to the information now. And then finally, we also are collecting Title I program information in the follow-up collection. So keep in mind, this follow-up collection is really only meant for the data that you didn't know, that you couldn't report by that year-end deadline of June 15th, June 30th. So this is the data that you just need to make a little couple tweaks to in order to make sure that you close out the 21-22 school year with everything appropriate. So we utilize the information that you're reporting in this collection for various things. A big one, a really, really big one, is for our federal special education reports. So this includes birth through 3 and school age kiddos. And we've got some deadlines that there's one in November. So we take the information, you finalize an advisor follow-up, and then we do our little analysis to it, and then we send it to the feds in November. We can't make adjustments to that data after that time at all. So it's really, really important that you're looking at your follow-up data and making sure that any tweaks that you made were really the things that needed to be done. We also utilize the graduation and dropout rates that you report in the NEP, the Nebraska Education Profile. I know Max talked a little bit about that earlier. There's a link to the site here. So we get all that information in your follow-up, all those adjustments you make, and then we publish it so the public can start looking at some of that information related to your schools. The accreditation team utilizes the course data to evaluate instructional units, and the career education team utilizes the data for Perkins reporting. So here is another great resource. I think Max mentioned it earlier. It's our advisor resources webpage. We have a calendar on there that lists all the deadlines for the various advisor collections. We have advisor data elements. So the new version that just came out, the who reports what, the systems involve student reporting guidance. Those are really helpful in kind of, you have that one student in a situation that it's different from the norm, and so you're not quite sure how it applies. Those are great guidance documents for those situations. There's a link to the course codes and clearing endorsements page. We even have advisor person ID guidance on the advisor resources webpage. And then something else that I think is really helpful as well is you can find an Excel file of the various districts and systems in the state, including non-public, special purpose schools. And that can be a helpful document as well. Let's say you need to know the county district school code, the numbering code for another school. That's a great place to find that. So what are your next steps as a district for the follow-up collection? So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to log into Advisor Validation, and you're going to want to view your errors. So you've got both 21-22 and 22-23 school years, and you're going to want to toggle between them because there are errors that are applicable that are listed in each of those school years that impact your follow-up data. So it's going to be important to kind of review those. You can use the lookups that are available in the Advisor Validation Collection. Those can be really helpful in helping you dig into some of the errors. Why is the student showing up here? And you can use the different school years and these lookups to do that. The enrollment lookup by ID is a really helpful one when you want to see one student's picture of all their school years. Where have they been? Have they been at multiple school districts? And what years were they reported here as a kindergartner, here as a 12th grader? It's a really helpful one. The student lookup by ID is really helpful when you want to look at one kiddo for one school year, and you want to see everything related to them for that one school year. So like when you're navigating, especially like some of the SPED errors, this tool is really helpful because you can look and see, okay, what was reported for this kiddo in 21-22? Then you can change your school year to 22-23 and look at what was reported or what is being reported currently for this kid in those two different school years. And that can help you kind of look at dates and do some analysis that way. A couple other lookups that are helpful are the student lookup by demographics. You can pick one specific demographic and then see a whole picture of everybody at your district that has that demographic. And then also the special education lookup can be really helpful if you're digging into some of those SPED records. The help site listed here does have some advisor errors specifically listed. We're trying to improve and increase the number of errors listed on that website. Right now, there's a few though. So if you have questions about how to solve a very specific error, you can look there. And then I think what's really key, and I hope that you've heard so far, is that we're using that 22-23 advisor data to assist you with your 21-22 follow-up collection, right? So you have this data you have to submit and kind of to close out the 21-22 school year, utilize what other school districts have reported, what you've reported in 22-23 to help you make some of those adjustments. All right, so after you review your errors, you kind of figure out some of those, then you're going to go in and you're going to look at your verification reports. So for the 21-22 school year, you're going to look at your student reports. We've got this link here is going to be really helpful. At the bottom of this page here, there's an Excel file. We changed the format based on a request from someone. There's an Excel file and it lists all the verification reports that are in advisor validation, and you can filter down by the specific collection. So you can choose follow-up collection and then look at the reports that are specific to that collection, and it'll tell you kind of the window of how you want to analyze that data. So the reports have various reporting windows, and the ones that are going to be really helpful, I think, when you're analyzing that follow-up collection are going to be your end of year. So this would be any kiddos enrolled in the school at the end of the school year. That date on there, I'm sorry, is incorrect. I'll fix that and republish this presentation. But the end of year is the data that's locked, that was locked at the end of June. So then you've got your end of year locked reports. So when you guys did your year-end collection, you closed everything out, we locked the reports. Now you've got this kind of live data where you can make your adjustments and you can look at your live data in the end of year. So you can compare those two reports. What was locked? What is live data showing now? Because come midnight, October 2nd, we're going to take the information in that live report and we're going to overwrite your locked reports. So we're going to say, these are the adjustments you made, the live data, and we're going to overwrite your locked reports from the end of the year, and that's going to be your revised data. So the other helpful reporting window then is full year. I think that can be really helpful because that's any students enrolled at the district throughout the school year, even if they've already been exited. So sometimes that's impactful as well. All right, we are going to schedule a few work days. We have not landed on dates for those just yet, but they'll be end of this month and we'll get a bulletin sent as soon as we have those determined. I think what's important now though is utilizing your SIS vendor and your consortiums for a lot of this entry level sort of getting everything sent, getting everything set up. And then if you have a question about a specific error, send us a ticket and we can help you with that. But then when it comes to these work days, we'll be able to help you work on kind of fine tuning a lot of that information and that data as well. So look for a bulletin coming soon for those. And then very, very last, we get to October, everything's good. You're happy with the way your data looks. You're going to ask, or your superintendent is going to log into advisor validation, and they're going to sign off on the collection that's specifically the 21-22 follow-up. And we do have some instructions on our advisor resources page for your superintendents if they're new and they haven't done that before. So let's talk through some common things that the service desk sees that are related to the advisor follow-up collection. A big one that you'll probably spend some time on is variations between your enrollment and your SPED exit dates. So let's say you have a date on this one and you have a type, but you don't have a date or a type on this one. The system's going to be like, that information doesn't jive. So it's going to give you an error. Another big data point that you're going to want to evaluate is the students who you reported as exiting as 205 last year. Some of those are going to likely need to be resolved. So you're going to want to kind of look at what happened with that student. You didn't know where they ended midway through the year, but maybe another district has picked up that kiddo and they've re-enrolled them for the current school year. So then you can change that 205 record. And then also your instructional units. Again, this is for 21-22. So let's say you were contacted by accreditation about that and you need to adjust some settings and things like that. You can do that now, and then those changes will be captured in the follow-up. So I did want to talk through one of those kind of specific errors that has to do with dates not matching, right? So error 523 is student is in grades K through 8 and they don't have an enrollment record for the following school year. So the scenario we're going to talk through is this kiddo moved over the summer from District A to District B. So District A ended the school year open-ended. They didn't know the kiddo was going to move. So 21-22 data has no exit enrollment for this kiddo. Nothing's been reported in 22-23 because the kiddo moved, right? There's nothing to report. But because District B hasn't reported the kiddo yet, in 22-23, the advisor is saying, where is this kid at? I don't see any information on them for 22-23 school year. So what both districts need to do is District A is going to actually update their follow-up collection, and they're going to transfer the students' enrollment out over the summer. So they're going to pick a date prior to June 30th, and they're going to exit the kiddo's enrollment as transferred out to another public school. And then District B, let's say their SIS is finally publishing data. They're going to get that information published into Advisor, and Advisor is going to see a 22-23 enrollment for this kiddo at District B. So when both of those things happen, that error is going to go away. All right, so that's about all I have for Advisor follow-up. Next month, or actually kind of later this month, we're going to record information on the 22-23 fall collection, and we'll have a pre-recorded presentation that we'll make available for everyone, similar to this, with what are my steps that I'm going to do for the fall collection. So look for that coming soon. We'll post it on the data webinar page and the Advisor Workday site. Again, more resources. This is the service desk email address. Please email us, create a ticket with any questions. We are happy to help. This is the bulletin website here. This is where make sure you're subscribed so that you can get notifications when we do have those work days. We'll be sending a notification through there. And then it also lists old bulletins. So let's say you forgot to subscribe, you finally did, you can go and look and see what is still applicable to you. It's posted now on that site. So even if you didn't get the email notification, you can see what's available. And then just quickly to briefly mention these other fall collections and provide some resources for some of those things that are available: staff reporting, I know we're still getting lots of questions because there's a statutory due date tomorrow for that one. So there's a recording there. Of course, please send us a ticket if you have any questions about that. The CDC, that actually has quite a few collections that are open now, open through October 15th. Typically, there's a few with some other varying deadline dates too, but we have instructions for most of those collections at this link. And then also advisor person ID, it looks like I'm missing a link here. I need to get updated for you, but we have instructions for that too. So if you need help in getting your data uploaded or fixing a file, we can help you with that. So that's it. Looks like we